on house, Jaguar has agreed to let me drive the new XK8.
Ages now, there's been talk of it in the newspapers and in true British style, the self-knocking has already begun. There have been mutterings in the rectory and whispers in the village hall. Is it a Ford in drag? Is it a worthy successor to the U-Type? Does it look too like an Aston DB7? Well, let's find out.
I'm just taking this for a quick spin around the block, all right?
All right.
I won't be long. Gullible man.
If you're going to test a car like this properly, you've got to get away from the choked up Midlands and go where the air is pure. The fields are green and the sun always shines. That's better. Now then, let's take a look at this thing. What shape are you in?
Well, it's a bit like Oasis, the band that is. See, all over the place there are very definite and very successful hints of the 60s. Look at the radiator grille. That is straight off an E-Type. Same goes for the power bulge on the bonnet. And you see these curved flanks and the way the wheels are hidden away in the arches? Remind you of something? The trouble is, it all goes a bit wrong at the back. And I blame golf. You see, Jaguar has made the boot big enough to accommodate 2 sets of clubs, which is all very commendable. But I rather wish they hadn't bothered. If they'd only forgotten about golfers, who are a silly breed of people, and not bothered with those rear seats, which are next to useless anyway, they might have ended up with a car that wasn't just good looking, but was actually better looking than a DB7. So, what about the intestines? Well, there it is, only the 4th different type of engine that Jaguar has ever made. A 290 horsepower, quad cam, 32 valve V8. And just in case you're thinking it's a warmed up Ford lump, let me tell you this. Yes, it's assembled in a Ford factory, but there are only 2 parts that come from the American giant. A plug in the sump and the chip that activates the immobilizer in this key. The key that unleashes the beast.
V8s, by their very nature, cannot be completely smooth, and nor are they renowned for their sprightliness. They're big, thumping powerhouses, and this one is no exception. The XK8 should really have been called the license loser.
This is one of those cars that's always going much, much faster than you think it is. You reckon you're doing about 70, and then you glance at the speedo, and you're doing 150. Come on, ease it down, ease it down.
That's better. The ease with which it lollops along makes it a superb Grand Tourer. But those of you who know the old XJS will testify that on roads like this, Grand Tourers go all to pieces.
But if you take the XK8 by the scruff of its neck, if you really work this brand new 5-speed automatic gearbox, if you stick it into the corners to get the computerized suspension system working, you will find, oh wow, that Sylvester Stallone really can play Hamlet.
The XK8 is more agile than an XJS, but it's still not a sports car. It's a heavyweight which will tolerate brutal treatment on brutal roads, but quite frankly, it would rather you grew up and slowed down a bit. Now, let's move from areas where the car is good to areas where it is simply outstanding.
Whether you have the optional computerized adaptive suspension or ordinary springs and dampers, the ride comfort is extraordinary. I know from past experience this road surface has all the smoothness of unironed linen, but in this, it feels like I'm driving across a field of velvet. Never felt a thing.
This car is so comfortable it just eats up the miles, covering vast distances with no effort at all.
This is the kind of car you would want to drive until the Arabic oil fields ran dry. I don't think you'd ever tire of the interior either. As you'd expect from Jaguar, there's that womb-like hemmed-in feeling. There's leather and there's wood. And would you look at it, a great slab of timber, an upended church pew, none of the polished bits of sawdust you get in a Mercedes or a BMW. I love the way they've recessed the dials in these pods. I love the toys. The stereo is fantastic, but there are one or two problems. I think there should be some chrome around this gear shifter. And if the computer is clever enough to know the driver's door's open, surely it should also know that drivers has an apostrophe in it.
Right, let's talk bank managers. Will the XK8 cause yours to start foaming at the mouth and barking like a dog? Sadly, no. At £48,000, it's £9,000 cheaper than a BMW 840. It does 25 miles to the gallon, which is incredible, and there's a 3-year warranty. Jaguars have always offered good value, but comparatively speaking, this really is bargain basement.
So, there you have it. The XK8 is basically a nightmare on Elmstrasse. It's 3 times better than the 8 Series BMW and 5 times better than the old XJS. But most important of all, it costs just a little over half as much as a DB7. Frankly, it's my kind of car too, a big V8 GT. It's magnificent, but I couldn't buy one. If push came to shove, I just couldn't do it. This is what I'd go for, the XK8 convertible. It's got an even more bulbous bottom than the coupe, and it's £7,000 more expensive. But, oh, just but, all right?
Unfortunately, I have to take this car back to the factory. Still, no rush. No rush at all.
You might have thought